Hey guys, I'm Jeff, I'm from Tabletop Warfare, and this is our very first podcast in our new space. We hope you love it. I'm here with Dakota.
Hi guys.
We also have Adam Weller and Neil Atherton here, and we're speaking today about Mini Masters.
Yeah, beautiful. So for those that aren't quite familiar for Mini Masters, so it is an event that we did last year, and I was just curious if you guys wanted to kind of talk a little bit about your experience for Mini Masters of 2025.
Right, yeah. Last year I was one of the judges,
Yep.
and it was a 2-day event, and I think we were just absolutely blown away with how many entries there were, and the standard was. It really surprised me because, you know, I've been living here for like 16, 17 years now, and painting was always very sort of an underground thing, but all of a sudden there's been this boom. And that first year of the competition last year, it was just mind-blowing how many sort of great entries there were, and how many good painters there are here in South Australia. So I'm hoping this year that everyone really got the bug last year and wants to go one step further and win a better medal or best of show or something like that. So yeah, it was a great experience. Yeah, it was really good.
Completely agree.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah.
And Neil, how was your experience as a participant?
Yeah, no, it was good. So I'd been to, my first contest was last year at Crimson Brush in January. And then I went to ARC, and so that was my third competition. And Crimson Brush and ARC are big established comps. But Mini Masters represented well. I think we did well. We were expecting, in my head, I was like, if we get 100 entries, we're gonna just that was a stretch goal. And we got to 100 halfway through the day, and I was like, oh no, what the? And then we ended up with 175, and the quality was very, very good. Speaking to some of the guys in the eastern states who organised these, they were saying what might happen is in consequent years you might get slightly less entries but a high quality. So people the first year come with everything they've got, and then the next year they're like, you know what, I'm going to concentrate on doing 2 or 3 or whatever. I won't bring 10, which is I think is what I did. So I'll still be bringing everything on my shelf that I haven't taken to a competition before, because just because I want to. But so this year I'm very keen to see how we go, whether we get more or less, or how the quality goes, and it'll be interesting.
Most people won't know, but Neil, the concept of a South Australian painting contest sort of came as a bit of a brainchild from you. Tell us a little bit about that. So
I've been painting minis for about 5 years, and early on it was COVID. So COVID was really good for hobbies, right? Because you couldn't do anything else. And I tried mini painting. This is going to be embarrassing, Dakota. I tried mini painting in the early 90s, you know, before you were born, and it was pre-internet. It was I lived in the northern suburbs of Adelaide. We had no money, and I bought HeroQuest, which I think is a lot of people's gateway drug into gaming, into mini painting. And I had, you know, horrible craft paints and brushes, and no internet and no local gaming store. And I just, you know, painted it like a slow 4-year-old. But I really, really enjoyed it. Then I moved interstate, built a career, grew a family, you know, got an education and did all that grown-up stuff for a while. But when we hit COVID and all that grown-up stuff was behind me, I was free to look at hobbies. Had a lot of time. I knew Tabletop Warfare because my wife and I came down here and did Friday Night Magic. And I was speaking to Wayne a bit, because Wayne likes to paint, one of the owners. And he and I were talking, and I looked at some videos, and I looked at some models. I really liked orcs. Didn't know what 40k was, or Age of Sigmar, but I bought a bunch of 40k orcs and started to paint them. And I tried the gaming aspect. So there were gaming models, and I'm very goals focused. And I figured, well, if I'm painting gaming models, I want to paint them to play a game. And ironically, because COVID led me to mini painting, it stopped the gaming aspect because we had a lockdown. But I started with Horus Heresy 2.0 came out, and there was a gaming group here in Gawler who was very, very keen. So I polled in with them and bought a couple of the starter boxes and obsessively researched how the game worked, the lore, because there's 65 Black Library books. I picked a faction, and then for 2 years I obsessively painted an army, and I got every model I could. I printed the iconography, I printed entire tanks. I built a 15,000 point army, and then found out I don't really like the game. So I don't really like the games at all. It wasn't for me, but I wanted to keep painting the models. And as I've been painting obsessively once again, I've been watching YouTube videos, and through those YouTube videos, they talk about competition, they talk about paint for displays, and a lot of the channels will have, you know, games, Golden Demon wrap-ups and Adepticon wrap-ups, and they were like, you know, go paint for competition. And again, I'm not competitive, so I really didn't care at the competition side, but I am goals focused, and I need to aim for something. And the competition, I figured, would give me a quantitative measure of improvement. If I go to Mini Masters 1 year and get this, and the next year I do better, that's a quantitative improvement. But I also wanted feedback. So I want people like Adam, who can look at my models and say, okay, you got bronze, to get silver, do this. So that's what I wanted. So to answer your question, which I'm not sure I actually have done yet, so the painting contest was my idea, and it was entirely so that we had something local, and my own personal reasoning was so I had something to aim for, and not just a time frame to aim for. That does help, but it gives me inspiration around the actual projects I'm going to do, and it gives me bumpers basically that I can work within. And then I get to go, I get the feedback, I get the it's a contest against myself really. I don't really care about competing with other people. And that's where it came from. So then here we are 2 years later, just come up to our second one, and it worked quite well. Pretty happy with that. Yeah.
And Adam, what does the Mini Masters mean to you? We sort of heard from Neil.
I think, like Jeff said, it's like the only event we've got here, and I don't really travel a lot, so it's really my my hometown event, which I'm now involved with the guilds a lot more, and again, when I'm competing, I'm the same as Jeff. I'm trying to do as well as I can. I mean, for me, painting is about the love of the hobby. It's the journey. It's taking this grey old piece of plastic or resin and turning it into, what I think is a piece of art. And if you can then take that along to a competition and have your peers and people like it, critique it, give feedback, and at the end of the day, hopefully you're going to win a medal of some colour. It's reward for all the time and effort, because Neil will tell you, you don't just pick up a model and you can paint. There are tens of thousands of hours where you sit there painting, and every model you do, you're going to say, yeah, I like it, but I must get better at this, and you'll go away and work on that. So a lot of these competition pieces you're seeing are the result of thousands and thousands of hours that people have put into learning and trying to improve all the time. And I'm like Neil, my whole goal in painting is just improving. I'm not very competitive, so I'm not fussed if I win a medal or not, but being involved and seeing all the people enjoying the hobby, that's the main thing for me. And I haven't told you guys yet, but I'm going to sponsor a prize as well this year.
Ooh, well, thank you very much.
So I wanted to do it either for a first timer or a junior.
Yep.
I've got a whole set of the Duncan's Roads 2-coat paints.
Wow.
Nice.
I think it's about 60 or 65 paints.
That's incredible.
And I want to donate that as one of the main prizes for someone who's new, someone who's up and coming, to encourage them.
Thank you. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
I probably should have warned you.
I think there's going to be some very excited up-and-coming painters to hear that. Yeah, so thank you.
I think Neil will be the same. We want the young people coming up, the
100%.
newcomers.
Yep.
we want them to get the bug like we've got and keep the hobby growing.
Yeah.
You know, 'cause it's good for everyone if it does.
I kickstarted that paint brand and have all of them. They're very good.
All right, well, maybe you can go in the junior one. Then.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And I think for for me, I'm relatively new to the painting world as well. So last year I did the photography of the models, and honestly it was such an eye-opening experience from that point of view, because you could see how much commitment people went to with painting, and I think the storytelling even from the composition and the models themselves were impressive. Like I'll leave some up here that I really liked, and it was really awesome to see. It's also very subjective as well. As a creative, you never know where you sit. So am I up here, am I down here? So it's really good to get feedback from professionals and more people from the community to really build up. So that's very cool.
Last year I went to, so I listed those East Coast competitions, and we've got one in Perth as well. I think Perth might be the longest running one, and really nicely done. They include scale models and gunpla, so like your stuff's next to Gundam, which is amazing. And we went to all of them, and the first one was Crimson January last year in Canberra, and I took 3 models, and 2 of those I then took to all of the others, but then at ARC, which is in April, I took 6 or so, and that group went to all of them. And my idea was, you said subjective, right? So my idea was, I'm going to codify how contests work. I'm going to work out what the algorithm is. Naively, I'm going to work out what the algorithm is, and I'm going to take a model here, and the difference is some have open, some have masters and standard. Some just have, like ours, it's just everybody. So if it's masters and standard, standard will get judged a little bit higher because you're not being judged against the masters. But if it's open, maybe a little bit lower. So I was going to work out how it all works. And the one thing I worked out is that you can't work it out. Yeah. So I had stuff. So I took something to a Spira Mirabilis bust, Orc Hunter. I love that bust. I love all this stuff, but I love that bust so much. And I took it to Perth. And in Perth, it got bumped from standard to masters and got a bronze in masters. I took it. Then the next contest I went to was Crimson Brush this year, and I got a bronze in standard. So I got the same medal in different classes. And what I worked out was, because the year before at Crimson I got silver with a squad, but this year at Crimson the standard was just higher. I mean, last year was amazing. This year it was like mind-boggling. So there's a bit of a bell curve, I think. So when everybody else is doing like even really good, if you've got something the same standard, it's going to get down a little bit. But it's so subjective. Yeah, and it's so, there's a little bit of standardisation, a little bit, I think, with the East Coast ones, because they have the same judges a lot of the time. And so I watched the stream from Crimson last year, and Andy Buckley was looking at pieces, and he was like, I saw that at Guilds Inn last year, it was silver, then it's silver now, that kind of, so you get a little bit of standardisation.
Gotcha.
But for the most part, it's on any given day.
But you get it at different events as well. It's why it's hard. There isn't a formula, because even within the judges, it's like last year, like one judge will really love something and the other judge will go, it's good, but doesn't blow. But because you've got 2 completely different opinions, doesn't mean it's a good or bad piece. But you go to a different competition with 3 different judges, and they're all going to think completely different things as well. But there's also, there's 2 aspects to a miniature. You know, like I say, you love the composition, the storytelling, but a well-presented bust, which is just a bust, can be just as good. You know, and vice versa. You know, the story with the story-based one might not be as well painted, but the story blows you away. So there is the technical aspect of it and the more artistic aspect of it. And when you're judging, you have to sort of think about all these things of. You know, it's like the guy who won Golden Demon a couple of years ago with just a skink.
Yeah, that was really well
in
painted.
a pure painting competition, it was painted perfect, and that's why he won. But there's no story there. There's no pizzazz, no well. It was just that they considered it was just so well painted. Whereas the guy who won the year after, I think Borgia, with the big dragon type thing, wasn't greatly painted. It's well painted, but there was brush strokes.
It wasn't blended, yeah.
So you don't have to paint perfect for a competition. You just have to, you obviously, the better you can paint, the better, but if you're telling a story and doing something really special with the lighting, the colours, that's going to stand out. That's, it's really going to sort of make it pop to people.
Yeah.
That might be a good example of some variability in the judges, because Roman Lapat was the head judge for a few years, and he's all about the art, and he doesn't care about the blending. And so when he was the head judge, I think it was a different,
more painterly.
Yeah. Whereas now, like at Adepticon, Eric Swinson was head judge, and he's ungodly, like freakishly good, and he's probably more about the smooth blend.
Yeah, I guess that's why we do have 3 judges for Mini Masters. We're trying to get to that objectivity as much as possible. But then we still have one head judge that still has to make the final call if there's a...
Three's a good number.
Yeah, if there's a disagreement about a piece.
Perth had 7, I think. So I think they used to have, they explained to me, they used to have 6. So there was 2 for Gundam, 2 for scale modelling, 2 for mini painters. I think the year before they had a couple of deadlocks, because that's an even number. So this year I think they threw in a 7th to break the deadlocks. So, and odd numbers are good. I think 3 seems to be the standard, and it seems to work quite well.
When does it become too many chefs in the kitchen?
I think 3 is the good number, because if you get 2 people who are not on the same page, you've got the other person who just breaks the tie.
For sure.
So
Crimson Brush
well.
last year streamed the entire judging, and it was I loved it so much. I sat there like just like a nerd watching it live, and I watched it on YouTube since. This year it's a giant pain to do that. So this year they cut it down to where they just showed some sample pieces and gave and I get why they did that. From their point of view, made their life much easier. But I really liked watching the judging, and you saw them bicker. Not bicker. Bicker's overstating it. You saw them disagree. And it was really interesting to see how they got past that.
But that's the subjective nature, isn't it? It's like, I can remember years ago discussing art, and it's as if you put something by Picasso up against the Mona Lisa and go, right, which one's better?
Yeah. How do you
judge? But they're probably both worth about the same amount of money, but they're so different. It's purely to the individual's eye.
You talked about the composition and the storytelling. Guild's in this year, which is in July, mid-July. They've still got standard and masters, but they've broken that down further into storytelling and technical painting. And it's up to you which one you go into, right? And they'll judge them differently. So I find that, and I can see storytelling for a diorama, but even if you've got like a single figure and it's got a little gremlin or whatever, you can still, they still have. I think there's a fine line between single figure and diorama, and I think Golden Dim is really pushing that especially. But it's going to be really interesting to see how that works out.
100%.
Yeah. I don't know which I'm going to go into.
Every single one.
The easier one. I'll do that as well.
Every single one.
Yeah.
And I guess that's, one of the great things about miniature painting though, isn't it? It's, you make of it what you want to make of it, because there's some people who love doing the storytelling, dioramas.
I love dioramas.
Me, I'm the opposite. I like just painting single figures and busts. I don't care too much for basing and backdrops. But to me, it's about painting the character. That's the bit I enjoy.
Funny though, because even just before the pod, we were talking about your brushmaster, but we were talking about how your style, which I would argue is part of the storytelling, your style is recognisable, very recognisable, because each individual model tells a bit of a story from, and you do that through colour and...
Well, that's the funny thing. I mean, I stream 4 times a week, and probably the most repeated question I get is, do you plan the colours? Do you have an idea? And the idea is that it's always like, I have no idea at all. And like every miniature, I don't think about it. I get it ready, and then when I'm painting it, it's like, right, skin first. What am I doing with the skin? And it's literally, I have certain colours I use, and I'm like, oh, what about I try a bit of this?
Yep.
Oh, that looks cool. I'll try it. But it all just grows from there. I don't think, right, I'm doing the tunic yellow, the pants are purple, that bit's got to be red. It's just step by step for me, and it's whatever I feel at the time. And if I painted the same miniature 2 days running, I would probably come up with a completely different colour scheme, because I might not be so happy the next day and think I want to paint this a bit darker. So, but that's the part of it I enjoy. I don't like it to be prescriptive, or people use this term recipes. I hate that. Don't use recipes. Mix your colours, see what looks good. If it looks good, put it on. And that's the way I paint. But other people, like Neil mentioned Eric Swinson, I was talking to a very well-known judge, Kui Tai, a little while ago, and he knows Eric. He said whenever he does box arts and things like that, he literally plans everything down to the nth degree of what colours he's going to use, what colour this is going to be, and then sits down and does the miniature.
Yeah, interesting.
So there's so many different ways to do it.
Do you have that? It sounds like you don't, but do you have that end picture in mind before you even put? No.
There's only ever been a couple of pieces. The Spaniard I did, the Ozzy Osbourne one.
Yep.
I had an idea in my head that how I wanted him to look, and I wanted it to be a homage to Ozzy. So I had that idea about that one. And I'm doing a special piece for the competition this year, which is a very specific type of piece. So there's specific colours. But those are the minority. I don't do that very often.
Yeah, very cool.
So yeah, but I actually like the slapdash approach of I usually paint the skin first on something, and that will lead into things. So I'll decide whether it's going to be a warm skin, a cold skin, or something, and that will lead into, okay, I'm going down this sort of road with the palette, so I'm going to use these sorts of colours, patterns, textures, whatever.
I guess when you put your clothes on in the morning, you kind of, or when you're out shopping for clothes, you do kind of consider your skin palette, and and does what I'm wearing match? And that's so interesting that it seems like a similar-ish approach to what you do. Yeah.
But I think it's the great thing about what I love about busts, and I mainly paint larger scale now. You've got such a big canvas to work with, and I guess the other thing I always say to people is like, what colour are orcs?
Yeah.
People go green, and I go, how do you know? Well, show me your pictures of real orcs. It's fantasy, I mean, I paint them blue, orange.
I just painted an orange one.
But that's the thing about most of the things within our hobby is you can paint things whatever colour you like.
100%.
Just enjoy what you do.
I think that takes a lot of practice as well to kind of break that barrier. Because a lot of say painters will grab the box and be like, I need every single colour that's on that box. And I guess it's just practice in terms of, well, no, if I wanted to make a pink orc, why not? If I wanted to make it rainbow, or if I wanted to make it, orange.
Well, what I see a lot as well is, I think people should learn to mix colours and be more expressive. Because I do a lot of lessons as well. I do a lot of online lessons and in-person ones. And people will say, oh, I've got to go and buy that blue. And I go, well, you've got all these colours. Yeah, I know, but I need a specific blue. And you think, well, just mix them up. Learn what colours make things, and you don't need this huge array of paints at the end of the day. I mean, my actual paint set that I use is very small. But if I want a blue with a slight tinge of this, I know I can just mix it. And that.
You're better with single or very small small number of pigments.
Single pigment colours are the best.
So you've got single pigment paints you can mix all day long. If they're multi-pigments, that gets a bit muddy.
for Mini Masters, we do have master classes, and one of them is colour theory. But you're holding a master class on day 2. What's your master class on?
Well, fittingly enough, mine is called How to Paint with Colour. So a lot of people sort of tell me how vibrant and colourful my minis are, and again, a lot of people ask me, how do you do this? How do you get it like this? And so my workshop is going to be how to paint colourful.
Yeah.
And there's some, I'm not going to spoil it for everyone, but there's some simple things that I see people do a lot. And I always ask them, why are you doing that? Well, that's what I learnt to do and all that. And go, but you're not adding colour. You know, you're desaturating it. So I'm going to try and explain to people roughly, how to paint things just more vibrant, more colourful.
Neil, we heard from Adam about how his perspective on just starting with skin tone and building on there. How do you sort of plan what you're painting?
I tend to, mine is based on making my life easier. So I'll paint
inside out.
Inside out. I paint inside out. So if there's a bit, and I like to do it, a lot of painters won't do it in sub-assemblies. They're like, no, put it together, and if you can't see it, if you can't get it with a brush, you can't see it, who cares? But I want to paint everything. So if I can do it in sub-assemblies, I will. So it'll be in different bits. And then I'll paint the part that's hard to get to first, and then work my way out from there. And I used to base coat everything, and I'll still sometimes do that, just base coat, and then get each individual part up to like 80 or 90%. But sometimes I'll just paint something up to almost 100% just because it's working, it feels good. I've got a ton of different paints, and I've been experimenting lately. Have you used the P3 paints?
Years ago.
Yeah, I kickstarted P3 and I used them, and they're so shiny, they're so painful. So I tried out my orange orc and I struggled so much with the sheen. And the trouble I have is I'll use different paints from all over the place, and then I'll get it done, and I'm quite happy with that, and I'll put it on the shelf. Then I'll do the next one, and I tend to not have a ton of whips. I just, my itchy brain won't let me So Dave Colwell was saying over the weekend that he's been hip deep in this project. It was some jewel, he was working on a jewel at Skaven versus something. It's not working, so he's going to dump it. And that made my head explode.
Have to finish it.
How can you not finish it? You started it. That's absolute insanity. And there's a sunk cost fallacy there. I get it, but I just, once I've started it, it has to be finished, or my itchy brain just won't let me sleep, right? So, but I'll put it on the shelf, and then like for a contest I might do another round of highlights. And the problem I found with the orange orc and with my I did another veiled lamp, woodland fantasy dude called Parry, is I forgot what colours I used, and I was like, I want to do highlights in this guy. I was like, how do I blend them? I don't know what colour. Like, I want to go over them again. And the feedback I got at the contest was around some extra highlights on focal points. And so I want to do that this week. And I haven't done it because I don't remember what colours I used.
Just dry brush them white.
There you go.
They'll be all right.
Yeah. So to answer your question, which I'm struggling to do for some reason, inside out, because it makes my life easier. Entirely because it makes my life easier.
I like to get the whole model together and paint it as a whole. And even with the 3D prints, because I do a lot of sculpting, I even import all the bits into ZBrush, and I meld them together and then print it as one piece if I can.
Makes sense.
But there's been many times when I start painting it and go, oh, what did I put it together for? Just, trying to get in places and that. So, I do prefer to paint everything as a whole, normally.
Do you think this hobby attracts a certain sort of person? Because you both identify as completionists, right? Once you start something, you just have to do it. Is there similarities between people that are in this hobby? Yeah,
I think the tism is there in a lot of the hobby painters. But I think a lot of people are attracted to it. It's really good for your mental health. And it's not just painting. Having any hobby, any focus is good for mental health. And I found over COVID, this was so helpful for me. Like, you know, you're stuck at home, and the world is kind of dark. And right now, it's kind of dark, right? So you've got any sort of existential crisis, which we're all living with. Having that escape is super, super helpful. And people bang on about it being a solitary hobby. You know, you're stuck in your basement, you're stuck in your, so what basement vibes, you're stuck in your hobby room on your own, you know, get out there but I actually like it because I get to, I spend time in my hobby room. I've got YouTube on, or I've got an audio book on, and I can just forget everything and I don't paint for like an hour or two, I paint for like 8 hours, right? So, and I love it so much. My wife will see me surface when I need to, you know, eat and grab a drink.
It's escapism, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think, you know, when, you know, before, because I retired about 3 years ago, but before then it was always, because I had quite a high stressful job, and I would come home, have my dinner and that, and it'd be like, right, now I can just completely chill out. And it is real escape from real life.
100%.
And something you love and enjoy is what is wonderful. You know,
and there's a tangible outcome at the end, and it's something, even if you don't play the game, it's something you can improve at. And the community is good, and I get my community fix by going to these contests and bugging people for the most part. I'm like, talk to me, and that's good, and you get to speak to people who are so much better at this than you are, and all of them are super generous with their time, and they'll all, you know, give you feedback, and we'll have a chat and answer your inane questions. So in summary, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Do either of you guys paint? Have you tried?
I haven't painted miniatures. I do illustrative stuff. So definitely getting into the headspace of like illustrating for 8 hours or so. Yeah. Imagine. I dive into heaps of creative stuff, like photography, editing, illustrating.
Have you seen
so yours is all about imagery?
Yeah, in a way. Yeah, I used to illustrate. Oh, feel free.
No, I was gonna. Have you seen the T-shirt that Dakota did for Mini Masters this year?
No.
Not
You'll be seeing that launched pretty soon. It's incredible.
Thank you. Oh, I'm super grateful of it.
I will be buying 2 of them.
Yeah, I will probably buy one. I'll be like, I did that.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Sign the bottom of it.
I was thinking about it, but I didn't know like.
No, do it.
Yeah, because you get to see your how long you've spent. Because I did it digitally. Usually, I'm a traditional artist. I love pen and paper. It's just a feeling. But yeah, I did that, and it took, I think, 12 hours of illustrating. Like, it doesn't seem like it, but going back, because there's a certain texture I use, different like pencil designs and things that you have to add to it.
Just on the one.
Yeah.
The iteration.
12.
You iterated before that as well.
Oh, I did, yes. I think the orc skull overall, that final one took 12 hours. So, but it was awesome because you can just zone out and just focus on one thing. I think as a creative, we have multiple different lists in our head being like, I should play this game, I should be doing this or this and this and this. And it's so good to just hyper focus on something to then see the outcome of like a completed concept or image. So, yeah.
I have a question actually. We'll sort of turn the tables really. What did you two make of Mini Masters last year?
Ooh, I loved it. So I freely admit this, I don't really come from the hobby, and I've painted 2 models in my life and they were both terrible. But I mean, you start off as that, right? You always start off as that. So, you know, but for me, I really love 2 things mainly. The first thing is the community that came together, and I could see people engaging with, you know, the models that were placed down, engaging with each other, engaging with the masterclasses, engaging with the speed painting competitions, and engaging with the space in general. So I really loved the community aspect. But the other thing is, I just love seeing 175 models and 175 pieces of someone's soul put down. And, you know, we speak about 12 hours for a t-shirt and hundreds of hours for particular minis. I know some people spend sometimes more than that on a single mini, and to see those efforts that someone's really invested that time and energy and skill and then placed down and taken a chance to see how it placed, to see that was incredible as well. Yeah, and you could see that in each individual model. And we talked about Matt, the frog that won last year, and you could see even when he was placing that down on the table, you could see the love and effort that he'd put in just by the way he carefully placed that onto the table. And it's that I really enjoyed that.
I think that really shows what I was talking about earlier. Though you had, people like Nass had brought big sort of plates of things. You had dragons, ogres, giants, whatever, and the winner's this little tiny thing, which is a frog. But it just had that wow factor. Yeah. So you don't have to paint the biggest and boldest thing out there. You just have to paint something cool. Yeah.
I'm incredibly excited about what we're going to see this year, to be honest. Yeah. Yep.
I think it was just really cool to talk to the community. Like, similar background in terms of I haven't really dove into Warhammer too much. I really want to try and understand a little bit more because I really enjoy seeing the excitement of the community. When the event was going on, I got to film a video and a wrap-up kind of thing of Mini Masters, and it was great to talk to a couple people that were in that film just for a brief moment, and they were happy to just be like, oh my God, here it is, like this is my model. And I'm like, oh my God, that's really, really cool. Especially at the end when everyone was kind of picking up their medals, I did like maybe a 1 or 2 second like show me your model kind of thing, and then it turned into a bit more of a conversation. So I think it was really, really cool to see such a creative mindset from all these different people. Even though I'm a creative in a different way, it still translates really cool. And
passion is the thing, isn't it? When you
100%.
Whatever people do, I always admire people from across all scopes of life. Yep. But people who are passionate about what they do, I just think that always radiates with me. It's like, I may not be into what you're doing, but your passion, I love.
Yeah. It shows the best in people.
The wargaming's interesting because there'll be display painters who just never wargame. They might still like the Games Workshop minis because they're very, very good minis. But they don't necessarily play the games, which is exactly where I am right now. But the wargamers, because there's a whole lore behind what they do, and that will may influence how the thing's painted, because like for Golden Demon, they kind of really have to be lore accurate. So you probably aren't painting a pink orc for Golden Demon. But for them, they're bringing the other part of their hobby to life. Like you've read about it in, like I said, there's 65 Black Library books about the Horus Heresy stuff, about the whole Emperor of Mankind doing his thing. And I'm about 2/3 way through that. It is a long read. And you get to take bits from there and make it a reality, and that's really, really powerful. So and I've had ideas for dioramas that are directly from those books where I'm like, if you could take that's that 1-page scene that's like full of emotion, and you could translate that into a diorama, how cool would that be? So I love. So display painters and wargame and army painting, they're two different things. And one can flow from the other one, of course, but they're two different things. But the wargamers, I think, really bring something special to the hobby. At ARC last weekend, they actually had 3 categories. They had Master Standard and gaming. They had a gaming, so people could bring their more army painted stuff. Like, this is a really good squad that I had that I really liked. Which I thought was interesting. They didn't have as many as I thought they would get, because it's a wargaming event, so there's hundreds of people there. It's full of sweaty nerds. So I thought they'd have more, but they still did quite well. So we've got I think we've still got a squad category. Yes, we do. So the squad category is still kind of for that, but they're painted still to the display standard. And squad categories are common, but I don't mind the idea of a gaming category. And I spoke to a couple of the Melbourne display guys, guild guys on the weekend, and their point of view was that it introduced some diversity to the contest, because all the contests seem to start like ours has, where it's just open, and then as they evolve, they split into master and standard as you get that sort of critical mass. And so then they're all sort of a little bit same. Whereas having that third one is actually quite good. So that might be something we explore as well.
100%.
Well, I was thinking we should probably consider wrapping up now. Is there anything you folks wanted to shout out before we do?
You bust?
Yeah, my own personal experience is like, I've been painting a long time, and I'm moving into the creating them space now. So I'm literally just finishing off my first sculpted bust.
Wow.
So I'm getting it printed today. I'm gonna have a look, make sure it's all okay. I'll paint it. I'll get Neil to paint one as well.
Lovely.
And then hopefully I'll be putting it out on the market at some point.
And where will people be able to find information about that?
Probably at the moment it'll be through Instagram or Facebook, but I think I'll have to start myself a proper web shop to sell it through. But if you follow me on Instagram, it'll certainly be on there.
Great.
So yeah, I'm pushing hard with that at the moment, and spending all my time painting my entry for Mini Masters at the moment.
Yes, perfect. Can't wait to see it.
Oh, and I stream 4 times a week.
Yeah.
So get on Twitch, you can chat to me, ask me anything.
Yep.
Just watch an old man paint for a little while if you want to.
Perfect. We'll add all the details below in terms of your Twitch and Instagram. I can do that the same with you, Neil.
Neil, anything you wanted to shout out?
I do not. So I have Instagram. I'm not very active, and I'm not very good at it. I do it more out of a sort of because everybody does it, right? So it's a way to stay. I use it to look at people's stuff. I just don't use it to post my own stuff. I do have stuff up there, though, and I'm going to get better at it. I bought a flash camera, and I've had people trying to tell me how to use it. So we'll see how that goes. But apart from that, all I'm doing is trying to get stuff ready for Mini Masters. I'm going to take everything I can.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us for our very first podcast in the basement at Tabletop Warfare. Thanks Adam, thanks Neil. I really appreciate you coming and talking to us.
Yeah, we'll see you at Mini Masters.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.